Stonemaier Games has officially released Expeditions, and we're here to tell you if you should buy it or not.
This is Chits and Cardboard.
I'm John.
I'm Jeff.
And we're back in the U.S.S.R. Hey there, folks. So today we're talking about Expeditions. Expeditions is the long-awaited sequel to Scythe, designed by Jamey Stegmaier and published by Stonemaier Games. We had the pleasure of talking to Jamey Stegmaier just a while ago, and if you saw that video, you'll know we had this set up under the laptop waiting to play when he was done, and we definitely played it. It was a fantastic game. I won, so I thought it was fantastic. You got your butt kicked, so it wasn't so fantastic.
Yeah, a little bit.
This game hit retail with two versions. We have the Ironclad edition here, which is a little fancier than the usual, and you'll see it in some B-roll. We have like metal minis and that kind of stuff, but generally speaking, both versions are as standard Stonemaier production, high quality.
They both look great.
That kind of thing. Yeah. They all have the little linen finish manuals, which are just, so good. But yeah, let's talk to you about Expeditions. So, Expeditions doesn't really play like Scythe at all.
No, it's
pretty different.
It's technically a sequel, but if you weren't a fan of Scythe, which it's a great game, but that's understandable, some people aren't, this might be the one for you.
So in Expeditions, it plays a lot more like a worker placement game. So as opposed to Scythe, which is kind of exploration, you take actions performing various tasks on a board, and the board is kind of like a civilization you're building out and spreading. Expeditions is centered around your mech exploring Siberia, the northern Siberia, where meteors are falling and there's a whole bunch of tech and corruption and that kind of stuff. So the way it works is every turn you start with having three actions. You get to play, you get to move, and you get to gather. So playing is when you play a card from your hand. Your hand is a revealed location, kind of like a deck, but it's all face up. Moving is just moving up to at least starting off 3 spaces on the board. And gathering is just doing whatever worker placement action is at the location you're at. The first time you do any actions, or whenever you refresh, you can do all 3. And then from then on, you have to pick 2 of them. So you can move and play, move and gather, gather and play. You always have to pick different ones than the ones you did last turn. So the puzzle is you're always thinking ahead, kind of trying to figure out where you're going to end up and land. And do things. After that, more immediately, things that come to mind are there's 3 different types of cards in the game. There's techs, there's meteors, and there's quests. And they all play a little differently. They kind of all give you bonuses while you have them and you use them and you place workers on them. But then once you claim a meteor, you gain victory points equal to various things. Once you gain tech, it's like passive bonuses you can use. And then when you complete quests, you get instant rewards, as well as you score a whole bunch of points for having quests done.
At the beginning of the game, everyone starts at the base camp. You have your mech situated there, and you're going to plan out where you want to go. There are the southern region tiles, the central region tiles, and the northern region tiles. Obviously, the southern are closer to the base camp at the bottom of the board. Every mech has a movement of 3 spaces, and when you take your turn, you can move to any of the hex tiles that are available to you. Whenever you move into an unexplored area, the hex tile will be face down, and you take the map token that is placed on top of it, and you flip the tile, discovering what is at that location, how much corruption is there, and what worker placement area is there.
So when you start the game, the southern region of the map is already explored, as Jeff said. So basically, all the locations are face up. You know what's there. You can go gather there, and you kind of know what you're going to get. There's no guesswork to it.
It's where you also get most of your workers.
It is where you get all of your workers, I'm pretty sure, except for the purple ones. As you move towards the central and northern parts of the map, as Jeff said, you're flipping tiles over. When you flip a tile over, you must immediately end your movement and add corruption to the tile. Corruption is basically just like insert imaginary boss fight here, which earns you victory points. And it's just it's just spending resource for points. And then each location has a different action, or once you reveal all the locations based on the gather action. So one of them might be like gain 2 guile, or gain a card from anywhere on the map, or gain 2 power, or so on and so forth.
Boast.
On top of these locations, they're all numbered, which is interesting. So each location has a number allocated to it. Now this matters because each quest has a location number that matches the quest, and in order to complete the quest, you have to have a card that states you can complete a quest action, and then play it on the location. Like you have to be at the location when you play it, and then you can complete your quest or in whatever your points are.
Quest number 19, you have to be on hex tile number 19.
So on and so forth. And I think there's multiple quests per tile. I might be wrong. I think there's multiple quests per tile, but regardless, that's how the game plays out. So throughout the game, you'll be doing, I think it's really three core things, I would say, personally, other than building your deck. You are researching technology,
Yep.
you are completing quests, and you are melding meteorites. In order to do two of those three things, you must have corruption cleared on matching locations on the board that allow you to meld meteorites or complete technology, create technology. Completing quests you can do just based on cards in your hand.
Yes.
Other than that, once you complete those quests or add the technology, you get certain bonuses. So when you complete or when you meld a meteorite, you are able to earn victory points, score victory points based on insert XYZ conditions. Some of them are like for how many cards you have in play. Some of them are like for how many other meteorites you have. The condition varies.
For how many technology you have, added to your mech.
And then, so for technology, you can have up to 4 of them, and those just give you passive bonuses.
Yep.
And then for quests, you can also have up to 4 of them, and those just give you like an instant kind of reward for your completion of the quest.
Yeah.
So all of them have a 4 cap. Once you've earned a certain amount of each thing, I believe it's 4 for everything, and then for tokens, there's like 7 of them. For workers, it's 6 of them.
Yep. Map tiles, it's 5.
For map tiles, it's 5. You put little stars on this, like this tracker of achievements, on this boast tracker. Once you've boasted 4 times, or someone's boasted 4 times, the game ends.
Yep.
And then victory points are calculated. So things that contribute to victory points are things like your melding, so your meteorites.
Yep. The number of corruption
tiles you've cleared is a very big one.
Yes, it is.
Certain cards and texts, rather, are worth victory points. And then just how you scored based on your quests and the amount of stars you have on the board.
Yeah.
And the game's done. It's pretty straightforward. So, not too complicated. Hopefully we got to slap in some B-roll to show you a little bit about it. But I think more interestingly, we want to know if it's worth our dollars or not. So, we'll get back to you in a second. Catch you in a bit. So, the big question of the day, Jeff, is Expeditions worth the dollars? Now, it's worth noting there's 2 versions of this game, as I said earlier. The Ironclad Edition, which is the metal minis, mechs, are about $120.
Yep.
The base game is about $70.
Yep.
Canadian. Yeah, I think either's a good buy. If you like the metal minis and it's worth it to you, sure, go for the bigger one. You're not going to want to paint them if you buy the metal ones, because like at that point, what's the point?
Yeah.
But yeah, what'd you think?
I really liked it. It, like we mentioned before, it kind of reminded us of Vindication a little bit. The game actually functions very differently.
Oh yeah, way different.
But it's in that similar vein. So if you like Vindication, you might like this. If you didn't like Scythe, we may have mentioned this earlier, but you could totally love Expeditions because they function completely differently.
So different.
The world that Scythe originally created is very, very immersive, very atmospheric. Like it's really cool. The artwork is amazing. So if you're not necessarily a fan of Scythe and kind of like area controlled map games, Expeditions might be completely up your alley.
Totally, yeah. It's really cool. I think the multifunction cards are very cool, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I
really,
think
really cool.
the resource management in this game is a little better or more fleshed out than it is in Vindication. There's other things it's not quite as good at, but in that specific aspect it is.
Yeah.
I wish there was a bit more control over the scoring. I feel like scoring just kind of happens, then you end up how you end up. Now, mind you, you're making decisions to score.
Yeah.
And you're actively trying to score, but it feels like the gap, even though it's a large point gap, is a very small actual gap in performance, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Because ultimately it's just some stars and then some things you build, unless it's a total blowout. Another thing is I've heard feedback from various folks that the game feels unbalanced at higher player counts. We only played it at 2
and even then
it was kind of noticeable.
Yeah, like we really enjoyed it at 2, but like there was one refresh location on the entire board.
Yeah.
And that can really, really, really slow you down.
Definitely.
And not in a fun way, not even in a really strategic way. That's something
just kind of in a blocker kind of way.
Yeah.
But that said, I mean, the scaling up thing, I think it lends well to probably, I think 3 players is ideal.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
2 or 3 players is good. 4 is kind of pushing it. I wouldn't play this at 5, even though it plays up to 5. I just think 1, it would take too long, and the time between turns would be aggressive.
Yeah, 5 would be a little much.
And then 2, you'd be fighting over locations constantly because there's just so many mechs on the board, and the board doesn't grow with the number of players.
Yes.
Also,
if it did, that would be a little bit different.
Sure.
Yeah.
As we mentioned, you're discovering locations. Once a location's discovered, it can't be discovered again.
Yep.
So at 5 players, 1 person or 2 people who are just going later in the rounds just aren't discovering locations.
Yeah.
Just
and you're not getting the map tokens, which contribute towards your boasting and like putting your stars on your glory track towards winning the game.
Yeah.
So that's a disadvantage.
But again, I think it's a great game.
Yep.
Like we just gave some negative feedback, but generally speaking, this is a fantastic.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with it.
Worker placement,
Yeah.
open movement, deck building, hand building kind of game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the answer is yes, you should buy this. You definitely should buy this. It's worth a shot. I think if you don't like Scythe, this will still appeal to you.
Yeah.
The only reason I could see that you wouldn't buy this is if you're not a fan of the exploration meets deck building portion, where the board dictates your deck building as opposed to some external deck building mechanic.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Because like if you compare this to like Dune Imperium, for example, which is also a worker placement deck building game, the deck building happens completely outside of like influence of the board.
Yeah.
Whereas players can control the board in a way which make it very difficult for you to build a deck. Right. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to playing it again. We're going to be playing it again soon at a higher player count because we've only done it with 2 so far.
I did 3, but yeah, still.
That's true, yeah. I'm looking forward to doing it with more than 2. But yeah, it's a great game. Really, really enjoyed it. John already has a copy. I'll probably be picking it up eventually as well. I might not get the Ironclad edition because it's just a little extra. The minis are really, really, really nice.
They are.
But I'll probably just get the standard version and everything, just for the gameplay. So yeah, it's really, really good. Really happy with it. Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm John.
I'm Jeff.
And if you like Scythe, and if you don't like Scythe, and if you like worker placement and deck building and hand building,
go back to the U.S.S.R.
and pick up Expeditions. That's it. We're signing out. Catch you later.
See ya.
See ya.